That sounds loud. A little feedback going on already. Good evening and welcome to the International Video Game Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the class of 2021. The International Video Game Hall of Fame was founded in Ottumwa, Iowa in 2010. We are dedicated to honoring excellence in the field of electronic gaming by recognizing the champions, industries, and professionals related to this popular activity. We've undergone many changes in the past few years, including the creation of new committees to help us develop our current rules for induction and code of ethics, as well as prepare for our future by enhancing our processes and procedures. To be considered for inclusion, all nominees may be contemporary or historical, but must be past or present players, developers, manufacturers, and industry leaders. Their contributions should be of national or global importance and of enduring value. Eligibility shall be based on the candidate's record, playing ability, integrity, sportsmanship, character, and contributions to the industry from which that candidate originated. Eligibility will be verified by the International Video Game Hall of Fame Screening Committee, and then again by the International Video Game Hall of Fame Voting Committee. Nominations for 2022 are currently open, and forms can be found online at ivghof.info, or you can find paper copies at our booth in the retro section of the expo. So come on out and see us and fill out a nomination form. At this time, it is my honor to respectfully induct, on behalf of the Board of Directors for the International Video Game Hall of Fame, our class of 2021. Also, something new this year, we have included pinballs. Without further ado, to introduce our first inductee in the category of Golden Age Game, please welcome International Video Game Hall of Fame inductee and board member, Lonnie McDonald.
Good evening, all. This is one of the few times I actually dress up a year. We're inducting Joust as a Golden Age game. Joust has about 27,000 machines out there. It was one of the first two-player consecutive play video games. The things that I really liked about it were the cooperative play, and then the way that to use one button and one control to be able to fly and move left and right. One other thing I wanted to say, and then we're going to give it to John Newcomer in his video. I think that's good. I think we'll turn it over to John's video. I did have the honor of traveling all over the country and playing this game. And here's John.
Hi, my name is John Newcomer, and I'm honored to accept this Classic Game Award on behalf of Warner Brothers. Thanks to the International Video Game Hall of Fame and the committee for selecting Joust. This is quite an honor, and I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm also happy and thrilled about how arcades have kept arcades and various retro writing, and this organization has kept classic video games alive in the public eye. So thank you to everybody. Joust came in the second wave when companies had to find new ways to generate ideas and form teams. So the timing was right for a non-programmer, toy, and game inventor to enter the coin-op video world. A lot of some possible backlash that this wasn't a sure thing. It was a gamble. The game didn't shoot. It didn't have the bright colors that Defender had. And so this was something that the president of the company also got other advice from other people, and so there was some doubt. So we ended up testing the game out in Batavia by the Fermilab's particle accelerator, which still tickles me for some reason. But we would let the players decide, and as it turned out, the game did very well there. So the fact that it didn't shoot and it had a different look and a weird theme was something that ended up working. So I want to give a shout out to President Mike Stroll, the head of engineering Ken Fidesna, and the software manager Paul DeSalt, because even when they heard these doubts, there was at no time did they ever tell Bill or I to change anything in the game. So we were able to do the game exactly as we wanted to do and take the risks that we wanted to take. And so I thank you to the management that made this game happen as well. So again, thank you on behalf of Warner Brothers and the International Video Game Hall of Fame.
Joust, our first inductee. Now we have board member Todd Freeman coming up to cover Golden Age gamer Phil Britt.
Thank you, Lonnie. Unfortunately, Phil Britt couldn't be here today and was unable to send us a video, so I am accepting this award on Phil's behalf. Phil was an arcade winner back in 1984 for the Track and Field Arcade World Championship. He was one of 1 million contestants and ended up being the winner back in 1984. That's quite an accomplishment. Not only was he an expert in track and field, but he also posted world records in such games as Food Fight, Spy Hunter, and Paperboy. If you look him up under the Twin Galaxies World Record database, he's got about 20 to 30 records. So I'm accepting on Phil's behalf, and I wanted to say congratulations. Thank you.
Our next inductee is 1990 era's game Mortal Kombat, be covered by President Jerry Byram.
Mortal Kombat has become a gaming icon. It is literally everywhere. Spanning more than a dozen games, 2 theatrical films, and an endless extended universe of comic book literature, the original Mortal Kombat remains one of gaming's most influential titles. And a tidbit of trivia, originally was modeled after Jean-Claude Van Damme, who actually didn't appear in the game, but did almost until the last minute. Just a little bit of trivia. Mortal Kombat was created by only 4 people in 10 months, and still it endures today. Quite a piece of work. Despite the minimal time and resources pumped into the game's development, the size of its launch was nearly unparalleled. A year after taking original form as an upright arcade game, Mortal Kombat found life via 4 home systems. All 4 versions of the game were released on a heavily marketed Mortal Monday on September 13th, 1993. What many of you may not know is that pinball and game designer Steve Ritchie, also a Hall of Fame inductee, in the inaugural class of 2010 came up with the name Mortal Kombat on a whim upon catching a glance of a misspelled combat that somebody had put on a whiteboard. Mortal Kombat was unique in that every character in the original Mortal Kombat game was derived from a motion capture performance, something very new and cutting edge for the time. Also, its use of graphics and high levels of graphic violence, including most notably its fatalities, which are finishing moves that kill. These controversies surrounding Mortal Kombat in part led to the creation of the Entertainment Software Rating Board, ESRB, video game rating system. Mortal Kombat is without a doubt a giant among fighting games and easily belongs in our Hall of Fame in the 1990s era game category. Accepting on behalf of Warner Brothers for Mortal Kombat, I say thank you and congratulations for your induction.
Thank you, Jerry. Our next inductee, Robin Mahara, will be covered by board member David Bishop.
Thank you, Lonnie. So, you know, I've heard the name Robin Mahara for years, and I've never had a chance to meet Robin until today. So I'm really excited to be able to bring him in for this induction. Robin first came to national prominence in America, competing in the 1990 Nintendo World Championships. And he took third place, I believe, in that championship, right, Robin? But it was a really stiff year, a lot of competition. But the following year, Robin went on to compete as one of 30 regional champions in the 1991 Disney Capcom Play Tour. And Robin brought it all home and defeated all the competitors and became the champion at that point for on that tournament. And then since then, Robin's remained very culturally active about games and gaming, and he produced and starred in the 2011 documentary Ecstasy of Order, the Tetris Masters, and he appeared in the 2014 documentary Gamer Age. And Robin is also the creator of, or co-creator of the Classic Tetris World Championships, and he is featured on card number 286 from the Superstars of 2012 collection of video game training card sets. And hopefully, Robin, you have some of those cards tonight that you can autograph for folks. So it's with great pleasure that we induct Robin Mahara into the class of 2021 International Video Game Hall of Fame.
Thank you, everyone. This is a great honor. I lost my glasses last night, so I got to squint to see my notes here. First, I wanted to thank everybody that I've met has been really nice. Todd, Lonnie, Jerry, Walter Day, of course, and I forget who I'm missing, Rob. Everybody that put this on. I heard that Hall of Fame almost fell apart, and it takes a lot of people, as I know, from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo to put these things on, so it's really special. And somebody told me to thank the old school pinball and arcade. I don't know if it was their owners or I'm not exactly sure who's in charge here. But let's see. As far as people I wanted to thank, got to start with the guy that beat me, 1990. He was my enemy for 20 years until I met him for my movie, Thor Ackerlin. He's one of my best friends now and an amazing person, if any of you get to know him. If you follow him on Facebook right now, he's selling a lot of memorabilia back from his childhood champion years. Great guy. And a mutual friend, Chris Tang, who I guess had some part in nominating me to win this. He was also a Nintendo World Champion, and he's part of the Classic Tetris World Championships that I helped start to this day. I'm really proud of what's gone on with that contest, even though I'm not actually a part of it anymore, other than competing. Since then, it's gone on to ESPN2, and it even made a strange cameo in the game Fortnite, which I'm told is a big one. I don't really game much anymore. Also, some gamers from my past, who I hope someday can be up here accepting an award to: Jeff Falco, Kenny Welch, my first gaming idol. Just finally got to meet Stephen Lucas. Hope you can make it up here someday. Campus Challenge champion from, is that 92? And 91. Okay. Brian and Kelly Aslin and Andy Russo, the three guys that really pushed me to redeem myself in 1991 in the Disney contest. Adam Cornelius, Vince Clemente, and Trey Harrison, who are kind of the powerhouse behind the Tetris contest, which, by the way, is every year at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. It's a really fun event, packed house. My kids, Fumi and Royal, for putting up with me bragging about my glory years all these years. My mom, Jan, who was actually my first video game coach. Any competitor player knows it actually can get really tedious playing the same thing over and over. So my mom, I remember her keeping me from playing basketball, telling me to stay inside and not get exercise, keep practicing. Of course, Walter Day, who ignited all the competition stuff even before I was gaming in the 70s, right? Times before the Nintendo, and then he just keeps it going, which is really amazing. And then lastly, this jersey worn by Jonas Neubauer, who passed away. He was the first Tetris champion in 2010, and he died suddenly 2 days after landing in Hawaii with his wife, Heather, and so I wanted to dedicate this to him. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Wii Sports from the 2000s era, and volunteer Wyatt Barwick will be doing the induction.
I am very honored to introduce the next game. Wii Sports, released in 2006, was not only a huge success for Nintendo, but also a big win for the casual gaming experience, revolutionizing the way we treat casual games and bringing in audiences that would never have been into gaming. Being beloved by many, it's considered to be one of the best games of all time, and is one of the best-selling, with 82 million game units sold throughout its release. It has won countless awards and now will be inducted into the International Video Game Hall of Fame.
Hello from Nintendo. On behalf of the many people behind Wii Sports, let me say what an honor it is for the game to be inducted into the International Video Game Hall of Fame as the 2000s era game for the class of 2021. I remember the first time I held a prototype Wii Remote like it was yesterday, and the absolute delight I felt when I was able to spin my bowling ball with just a twist of the wrist. Like many longtime video game players, I watched Wii Sports make gamers out of practically everyone in my orbit, including my parents. While I couldn't have predicted how deeply it would impact the video game industry, it was definitely amazing to see it resonate with so many people, many of whom had never played a video game before. We're so grateful to the International Video Game Hall of Fame for this recognition, and grateful for all the fans around the world who enjoyed and continue to enjoy Wii Sports. Thank you all.
Our next inductee is Diego Umbra, 2000's eSports. Jerry Byram will be covering Diego.
Daigo has competed at the highest level in multiple 2D fighting games and has cemented himself as one of the greatest fighting game players of all time. Throughout his career, he has had legendary performances in the biggest tournaments in the world, accumulating 6 EVO championships. Daigo, the Beast, is vastly considered the best Street Fighter player of all time. Daigo was not only the first Japanese pro gamer, but also one of esports' first global stars. His career and the iconic moments he took part in are known around the world, and today, Daigo also has several books, a manga series, and a statuette in his honor. Today, we are proud to induct Daigo Mahara into our Hall of Fame in the 2000 gamer category. Daigo could not make it. I will accept on his behalf. Congratulations for your induction to the class of 2021. This year is a little different year than past years, as it is called the International Video Game Hall of Fame. We are also including this year pinball for the first time, a very worthy addition to our Hall of Fame. Pinball in pop culture and its place in pop culture are outstanding and have been, as Walter said earlier, for 90 years. 90 years and still endures today. The pinball machine originated in the 30s, but it evolved from an obscure board game invented in the late 18th century called Bagatelle. By the 40s, pinball had become one of the most popular games in America and featured regularly in pop culture. However, in the early 80s, arcade games came along and home consoles came along and largely diminished the appeal of pinball. But thankfully today, many new machines are still being manufactured and played by a new generation of pinball wizards, as well as a collector market that has exploded in ways that most of us thought to be impossible. All of us at the Hall of Fame have believed for quite some time that pinball should be included in our hall, but we were willing to wait until the time was right and we were all comfortable with our current processes with video games and electronic gaming prior to making any new additions. Pinball appeals to the masses pinball appeals to the masses in ways it never has before. So to me, it makes complete and perfect sense to include pinball in our great Hall of Fame. Pinball is back. We all love it. And welcome to the International Video Game Hall of Fame.
Thank you, sir. We actually have 3 categories that we'll be inducting pinballs into. One is electromechanical pinball, the next is digital pinball, and the last is modern pinball. I have the honor of covering the first one, which is electromechanical, and it is Captain Fantastic. I actually have a completely restored Captain Fantastic in my collection, and it was one of the first pinball machines that I played and was addicted to at the pool hall, and getting 100,000 and making the sounds. And Captain Fantastic is one of the most sought after collectible pinball machines. It's also inspired by Elton John's record Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirty Cowboy. Yeah, right. And we are very fortunate to have Barry Greenberg from Scientific Games here to accept the award. Captain Fantastic, Barry Greenberg. Do it. No.
Yeah, I couldn't bring Elton. I'm sorry. You guys would rather see him, but I am very excited to accept this on behalf of the Williams employees. I started with Williams about 30 years ago, and I've been with the company through its different acquisitions, and still am with Scientific Games, who now owns the Williams pinball properties, and joined about 30 years ago in the Top Box factory, specifically to make pinball machines because of my love of pinball growing up, and I'm just very excited to accept this on behalf of Scientific Games and the legacy Williams employees that are still with the company, and the history of Williams in pinball.
Let's torment him and actually put the award on him.
Next time I'll bring Elton.
All right, you heard it. Oh, you want to get a picture? Our second one is digital pinball firepower. To present the award is Jerry Byron.
You know, firepower, I remember firepower from when I was in high school, playing in our high school lounge. Earlier today, we were trying to think of the vocabulary that firepower had. We came up with 7 words, and I couldn't turn this one on out here to get the other 4. So if y'all know them, I'd love to know them. You know, and I looked it up and I didn't see it, so I will look again. Firepower was released in February of 1980 and designed by Steve Ritchie. After Gorgar, Firepower is the second pinball to feature speech, an impressive 11-word vocabulary, 4 more than Gorgar. A tremendous leap for technology in its time. Firepower also has 3 notable firsts. The first pinball with the lane change feature, which the right flipper button controlled the lit, unlit status of rollover lanes. The first solid-state pinball to have a multi-ball feature, attaining 3 balls in play at the same time, was a uniquely attractive reward. The first playfield animation, this countdown to multi-ball animation, was innovative and amazing in 1980. It was also near the limit of the electronic and computational capacity of the hardware. Firepower currently ranks number 5 in the list of most successful flipper games of all time, with 17,410 units. Our very first inducted pinball in our digital pinball category is Firepower. Firepower, destroy you. To accept this award, Barry Greenberg. You're gonna get the hardware, buddy.
Load up. I don't need to necessarily tell my story again of my 30 years with Williams, but I actually was very excited when I was asked to come and accept these awards on behalf of Williams and Scientific Games, and again, growing up and playing pinball throughout my life, it's been really exciting. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's see. The last category we have in pinball is modern pinball, and it's Twilight Zone. To introduce Twilight Zone, David Bishop.
Thanks, Lonnie. So this is my 40th year in the game business, and it was said earlier tonight that, you know, the first pinball you have or you own is the one you fall in love with. I would say that it's the first pinball you play, or you have all these fond memories of growing up. And after 40 years in the business, I started on pinball and working in the arcades, playing in pinballs. I think my first job was tearing down and stripping and waxing and and 3 pinballs a day every day when I came into a shift. But inevitably, there's a short list, I think, of really, really, really classic pinballs that just you know that these are the great pinballs. And Twilight Zone to me is one of those pinballs. It's one of the all-time great pins. It was released by Bally Midway back in 1993. It was designed by the really legendary Pat Lawler, a great designer. Did some really intricate pinball machines. You can't come to a Pinball Expo without playing some of those pinballs, and I think we all know what they are and how they play. To me, the one of the defining elements of Twilight Zone was if you remember, there's a magnetic little mini playfield on the top, and there was a ceramic ball that wasn't magnetic. So there was some really interesting pieces to this pinball, and it had a fairly complex rule set. In fact, it was almost so difficult to learn and master that it guaranteed I was never going to be good at it. But it's still a fabulous pinball to play, and it's loaded with all sorts of references to the iconic Twilight Zone television series. And so I've always loved that show, and it was always fun picking out the different references inside the game. But I hate to say it, we're going to bring up, I don't hate to say it, Barry Greenberg again to come up and from Scientific Games to accept the reward for Twilight Zone. You're going to like Mark Spitz if you put all the medals on, Barry. Yeah. yeah, I think it is, yeah.
I do have to say that.
Sure. Well, sorry.
That's right.
Thanks.
This one is a little bit closer to the heart because '93 was when I was in the Top Box factory, and we were lucky enough that they had all the pinball machines that were being released at that point set up in the cafeteria for free play. And there was more than one night that I got yelled at by my wife for not getting home from work for hours for just sitting and playing Twilight Zone and many of the other games on free play for hours. So this one I tremendously enjoyed playing, and it was really an honor to be part of the factory that built it.
That's a complete clean sweep for Scientific Games on all our pinballs, unbeknownst to us to start with. Thank you for coming, Barry. Let's see, what we got left here. So the next inductee is John Carmack for Game Developer, and President Jerry Byram will be doing the induction.
Twilight Zone. Goes without saying. I mean, it should have been in here years ago, right? Game developer John Carmack. John Carmack is a computer programmer, video game developer, and engineer extraordinaire whose pioneering work on three-dimensional game design led to the popularization of the first-person shooter genre, exemplified by such hugely successful games as Commander Keen, Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Quake, and their sequels, Doom and Quake. Need I say any more? John made innovations in 3D computer graphics, such as his reverse algorithm for the shadow volumes. His company, and I hope I pronounce it correctly, ID Software, developed shareware and internet distribution channels which revolutionized how computer games were sold. John Carmack's accomplishments go on and have earned him the right to be our next inductee into the International Video Game Hall of Fame, Class of 2021, game developer John Carmack. I will accept on John's behalf. Thank you. Congratulations for your entry and your induction to the Class of 2021.
Our next category is community action. We have two people in this category. The first one is Keisha Howard, which I believe is here in the back. Yay. So Keisha started Sugar Gamers over a decade ago. She created a unique community, united not only by common interest. Sorry, I'm reading this in my thing is trying to edit it at the same time. User error. I'm sure Keisha can fix this for me. United not only by common interest in a gaming geek culture, but by the mission of promoting diversity and inclusiveness in a space that often suffers from the lack of it. Her journey has afforded her the opportunity to work with brands like Sci-Fi, Watch Mojo, AT&T, HBO, Nintendo, HTC, Microsoft, Google, and more. She regards video games as more than just entertainment, but as a system of ideas and processes that can move and inspire people to action. Keisha Howard. Keisha.
Well, thank you so much. These last 2 years have been really interesting, and receiving this award last year meant a lot to me because it had marked 11 years for me starting Sugar Gamers. And I definitely have Twin Galaxies, the International Video Game Hall of Fame, Walter Day, and all the people who basically, Todd, have been on this team for acknowledging me and acknowledging our community. We've been able to have so many more opportunities just by having these sorts of accreditations from and being amongst individuals like yourselves and the other Hall of Fame inductees. So I am incredibly grateful, and I remain passionate about the video game industry, both the retro games and the emerging technologies that will soon be a part of, known as the metaverse. So again, thank you so much, and I super appreciate being here.
We have one more Community Action Award. That was 2020. This is 2021. The Community Action Award winner is St. Jude's Play Live. Jerry Byron will present.
You know, I see all these people and everything that we say and the great accomplishments, and I'm truly humbled to be in their presence. Such great talent. So thank you for coming. This one is Community Action Award winner for 2021. It should be no surprise that is St. Jude's Play Live. Community action changes people's lives for the better. It embodies the spirit of hope that improves communities. The recipient of this award has demonstrated their dedication to that purpose. St. Jude's Play Live streams games for fundraising. They create competitions for fundraising. They invite players to compete for fundraising, all in the name of curing childhood cancer. To date, $40 million to stop childhood cancer. Truly a community action award is deserved. Families never receive a bill from St. Jude for any treatment, traveler, housing, or food. And we could probably get a few into the expo. Over 60 years they've been active trying to cure this disease and find a way to stop it. It is my pleasure and my honor to accept the Community Action Award for 2021 on behalf of the International Video Game Hall of Fame and St. Jude's Play Live. Walter, could you join me for a moment, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, Walter. I'm misreading. My apologies.
It's okay. We have two left here. The next one is industry leader, Tommy Talarico. Tommy is an American video game composer, musician, sound designer, television personality and live show creative director and producer. Since the 90s, Tommy has worked with over 300 video game titles. He's the creator of Video Games Live, a multi-award winning symphony orchestra that has played video games across the country, across the world even. Since 2002, he co-hosted a TV show named Electric Playground and Reviews. Tommy is currently the president of Intellivision Entertainment. He could not be with us tonight, but we do have a video right here, which is almost
Hey
the same
everybody,
thing.
thanks for watching this, and so sorry I couldn't be there this year. I really wish I could. It looks like such an amazing, cool event. Thank you so much to the International Video Game Hall of Fame. What an amazing honor. I mean, Industry Leader Award. This is incredible to me. Thank you all for anyone who voted, and of course, I got to get to the museum there in Ottumba. I've never been there. I want to go there, so I need to get there too as well. But thank you so much. It is really such a great honor. I'm speechless, which is for those who know me, is very rare. Anyway, thank you again. I really appreciate it, and wish I could be there with everyone. Bye.
All right, we have one left, and that means we need to bring Walter Day and Jerry up. All right then, I'm gonna leave that with you guys. The award is the Walter Day Lifetime Achievement Award. And if you know where Gary Stern is, text him and have him come, because this is his award.
Walter Day Lifetime Achievement Award. Very fitting, Gary Stern. This award honors individuals that have served the electronic gaming industry over the course of a long career, enriching the industry with their contributions, strong leadership, and creative vision. Our next inductee has touched nearly every aspect of electronic gaming and pinball, and even jukeboxes. He joins others before him, such greats as David Bishop, Steve Wozniak, David Crane, and Reggie Fils-Aimé. When arcade video games became popular in 1980, Stern Electronics produced Berserk and cemented their place into the arcade boom of that time. However, in '83, Stern became one of the many victims of the amusement industry bust. So in '85, Stern Electronics left the amusement industry. Personnel from Stern Electronics formed a short-lived venture known as Pinstar, producing conversion kits for Old Bally and Stern machines. Gary Stern was the president of Stern Electronics Incorporated, Pinstar Incorporated, and also Data East Pinball at that time. In '99, the pinball industry was virtually dead, and Williams stopped manufacturing pinball machines and focused on gambling devices as WMS Gaming. During the same year, Sega left the pinball industry and sold its pinball division, previously purchased from Data East in 1994, to Gary Stern. In October of '99, Sega sold the pinball portion of its company to Gary Stern, who had been running Data East since 1986. The Stern Pinball was born, and aren't we thankful for that today? Walter has a connection with Gary Stern and years of friendship. So the Walter Day Lifetime Achievement Award wouldn't be what it is without this man and his vision. So Walter.
Well, thank you. Is this working? Okay. So it is, to be frank with you, it's kind of embarrassing to be giving the Walter Day Lifetime Achievement Award by me. So, but I'm also inspired. I'm inspired because I met Gary Stern in March of 1982 at the AMOA show. And I remember going to the Stern booth because I was in love with the game Tutankhamun, if I pronounced it right, King Tut Tutankhamun. And I talked to him about it. I met Gary there, and we had a warm, friendly interaction. But then, in November of 1982, some months later, everybody should come up and look at this. This is a replica of a bronze plaque that's going to be put up in Ottumwa in just 2 weeks. It's a huge 230-pound bronze plaque that's going to commemorate the famous Life magazine photograph. But when they were about to do the Life magazine photograph, they wanted to have 6 games, and they had only chosen 5. And suddenly it was up to me to choose that 6th game. And I immediately had no hesitation. I chose a Stern game. I chose Tutankhamun. And that's why Tutankhamun is in there, because I loved the Stern game so much that I wanted to have that be part of that incredible, famous Life magazine photograph that was done back in 1982. So I was very connected to the Stern, brand, the Stern games, Gary Stern, what have you. And when we went to the November 1982 AMOA, were you there? Did you go to those shows back then? Essentially, I went and told Stern, Gary personally, that we had got their game in that famous photograph. And they were very touched, and it developed a bond. So I've been connected to Gary Stern personally for all these years. And the most important thing about, for me anyway, this being a Walter Day Lifetime Achievement Award, is that it puts me under pressure to be as good as I can ever be. Inspires me to always do more and more and more. And that's why Gary Stern is rightfully the recipient of this kind of award, because he's been inspirational again and again and again and again for all these years of essentially 50 years now. He's been a leader and an inspiration, and he never gives up. So that is the spirit of this award. Inspirational, leadership, never giving up, lead the way, and just bring new wonderful ways for us all to enjoy. So ladies and gentlemen, Gary Stern, the recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award.
So he's on his way. We've got his phone number, got him called, and we're gonna have Walter tell 2 more stories. By that time, Gary should be here.
Okay, see this big thing? You all have to come and look at it, because in 2 weeks, people should come to Ottumwa and be there part of the group, just the group ceremony, where we actually put up a 230-some-pound bronze plaque that commemorates the famous Life magazine photograph that was taken on November 7th, 1982, and it appeared in the January 83 edition of Life magazine. Many gaming historians consider that the first group of esports competitors, and also essentially like the birth of organized competitive esports. So it should also be a part of that. So that's story number 1. And by the way, are there any questions about these proceedings tonight? Okay, that's good actually. It means we were self-explanatory, I guess. Yes. Okay, Todd.
If you go on the website right now at ivghof.info, our homepage, you can nominate your next inductee for the class of 2022. It's live right now. You can click a link and support your favorite pinball games, gamers, industry leaders, community action award winners. So it's ivghof.info. Go there now. You can submit your nominations for 2022. You can nominate as many times as you like and in as many categories as you like. So please pass the word on. We want a good induction ceremony for next year. And I think hopefully if Rob's happy, we'll be back here next year. And here's Jerry before we introduce Gary.
While we're waiting for the man of the hour, I'll go ahead and do my closing, and we'll interrupt if I see him walk in. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for attending. It's a huge thank you to Rob and Bridget Burke for all the work they do, and their entire committees and staff for putting on this show for all of us to enjoy for 37 years, the longest running Pinball Expo, period. Their passion for pinball and all things arcade and electronic gaming related, which is why we're here today at the Pinball Expo to celebrate and participate in that long-running show. Such an accomplishment, and we're proud to have been invited and included. Let's not forget that the Hall of Fame is a nonprofit, and we rely solely on your tax-deductible dollars, donations, which allow us to continue to fill our Hall of Fame with the best champions, industries, and professionals related to our favorite activities. Thank you to the board of directors and committees to make all of this happen. As I mentioned earlier, there have been many changes over the past few years to ensure that we include and induct the best of the best, the cream of the crop. And to do that takes hundreds of hours, which are spent each year to ensure that our Hall of Fame inductees are just that. Those hours of vetting, research, and selecting our inductees are largely completed by the committees that go unnoticed and unseen for the most part. The vetting committee, hours upon hours of research to ensure that these candidates are worthy and can make it to the Hall of Fame at some point. The vetting committee was made up of our chairperson, Julie Barwick, International Video Game Hall of Fame board member. Vice chair was Wyatt Barwick, Michael Klug, and Jeff Peters, both inductees of the International Video Hall of Fame themselves. The voting committee, the chair again, Julie Barwick, Lonnie McDonald, Jeff Peters, and Michael Klug, all three inductees of the International Video Game Hall of Fame. To be quite frank about this, I couldn't do it without them. I simply could not do this without them. It's not me. It's a show of the committees and the community that supports what we are after at the Hall of Fame. We induct great talent, industries that make an impact, an everlasting statement that will endure. Pinballs that we all enjoy that sell thousands and thousands. We collect, we maintain, we clean, we polish. We love what we do, and we love including the best of the best into our Hall of Fame. A special thank you to Lonnie for all the legwork that he has done. This guy, these guys carry the weight. Lonnie and Todd, Julie, they all carry the weight of what we do. I can stand here and read off my notes, but they are the backbone of this operation. And my gratitude to all of you. Thank you very much. Now, what was supposed to happen was Gary was supposed to make an entrance and I could conclude. I have concluded, but I haven't seen Gary. So I feel it really to be very important that Gary be here to accept this award at this location with the Pinball Expo, with the pinballs and the games and everything that he has done. So if you would please hang about. I'm sure he has great things to say, great stories to tell, and no pressure on that, Gary, wherever you are. So with that, another thing I also want to tell you, all of the inductees that have made it here tonight do have trading cards, special edition Hall of Fame and International Video Game Museum trading cards. Very limited edition. They're going to set up an autograph over by our booth right out here by the Retro Gaming. I'm sure they would love to meet you and greet you, sign their cards, and hand them out to you. David, would you like to fill some space? I could sing a song, but I won't. Sure, come on up.
While he's waiting on that, Jerry said he was going to do a rap. I didn't know it was this.
Yeah, I meant like a present rap, Here you go.
All right, you guys know I'm a pinball historian, and I'm going to tell you why Gary Stern needs to be in the Hall of Fame for the coin-op business, whether it's video games or pinball. In the entire 20th century, when games came out, it was one run. You had to put in the advance orders. So we operators would tell the distributors purely on guesswork how many copies of a game we wanted, and the distributors would tell the factory, some sales manager at the factory with their job on the line would have to make an estimate of we're going to make 2,500 pieces or 5,000 pieces, and they'd make that, and then that was it. No more games after that of that title. They might recycle a lot of the ideas, which you pinball guys have certainly seen, but you had to make that crucial guess, and you were staking the company's future on it. In 1999, the pinball industry collapsed down to just one company, which became Stern Pinball after having been Sega Pinball. So this gave Gary Stern a unique opportunity. He could do reruns. He could rerun that Harley Davidson game, rerun South Park, and rerun Lord of the Rings. I think if you were around in the mid-aughts, you remember there'd be a supplementary run of 300, and then a few months later another supplementary run of 300. And this was vital to the survival of Stern Pinball, because there were some titles where they didn't go into reruns, and with a small production quantity you may not ever recoup all the development costs, because that's a major component in a pinball game. Over $1 million before the first title even has any parts ordered to begin production. Just the development of the title is over $1 million. If you sell 1,000 games, that means every game has to recoup $1,000 just to pay the development costs. If you sell 5,000 games, it only has to recoup 200. So you see the math. If you can make more when you know there's more demand, then you can capture the upside and you can keep a profitable company going. Gary Stern restructured the business model to capture that upside with reruns. And by about 2009, he was very worried because there had been some idea that other companies might start making pinball again, or upstarts would come in and start new companies with old assets. And we thought maybe we'd have to go back to the old way, where you can't go to reorders because people are going to want the newest game. Well, a lot of people do want the newest game, but we found out, and we still know today, that reruns are possible. And today, Stern Pinball is offering something like 10 different titles, some of them as old as 4 years old, still taking orders for new production. That's the restructuring of the business model that has been so important for the survival of not just pinball, but any kind of standalone, non-networked coin-op game. Gary Stern brought that about. And I don't know if you guys knew that, but that is his biggest contribution to the history of coin-op games.
And that is exactly why we are still looking for volunteers that know the business. So if you know anybody that knows pinball, that knows arcade games, electronic gaming, we could use your volunteerism. Come see us. With that, I'm not sure I'm going to fill this space with anything valuable other than y'all look great. Thank you for coming. And let's find a beverage. Wait a minute. We need music. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Without further ado and right on time, please let me welcome to the stage the Walter Day Lifetime Achievement Award winner, class of 2021 for the International Video Game Hall of Fame, Gary Stern.
It's all mine. And I'm at a loss for words because I hadn't prepared anything. This is, it's quite an honor because you all know that we've concentrated for decades on pinball machines. We did some video games in our day. We did a lot of Konami games, but we also created a bunch of games that you guys would remember better than I do. But the principal remembered ones are Berserk and Frenzy, which were similar games. I had a big boat once, and its name was Evil Otto, because that's who paid for that boat. And for those of you who don't know, Evil Otto was the bouncing ball. It was a maze game, and he's the one that killed you and got you. So those were when most of the games were coming out of Japan, the coin-op games. Those were games that were developed here. We did a lot of other games. Again, a lot of Konami games. We brought Konami into America, but we also developed a lot of games with. Oh God, this is a long time ago, guys. This is 41 years ago. I was doing those games. 41, between 35 and 41 years ago. And we had a 3D game that we did. We had we did some games that were just, you probably have more stuff up there about me than I know about me. But it was part of it was an important part. And you know that the video games in those days, we were coin-op. There was not as much home game. Video games, you may not think of this or you may think I'm nuts, but they were the first introduction of us all between the monitor, the computer, and us. Yeah, the colleges had computers. When I was in college, we had to do a program where you typed the cards and all that, and it never worked. And you fed the cards through. But the real thing that started making us comfortable with our computers, I think, was video games and what these guys in the early years created, which brought us all into being comfortable with our computers. And where we are today. Yeah, we got video games and computers. We got everything else, including Facebook on computers. There's good and bad sides to everything. But I think it was, we were principally a pinball company, but always. But we did the video, and I think it was a very important part of the introduction, both of man and the monitor, and also the technology. When we switched from the video games made with discrete chips to microprocessors and so forth. So I'm very honored to be recognized. I don't think I'm the most important person in video games, but I think that all of us in those days, what we did, contributed to it. So I appreciate you honoring me, and I thank you all very, very much.
I'm going to read the plaque off to you. Walter Day Lifetime Achievement Award. This award honors individuals that have served the electronic gaming industry over the course of a long career, enriching the industry with their contributions, strong leadership, and creative vision. In 2021, Gary, that is you. Gary Stern, 2021. Thank you so much. May I present this to you?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, everybody.
Thank you all for hanging around, and thank you again for coming to see us at the Hall of Fame. Hopefully we see you next year. Thank you.
couple here. Make sure we're good. All right. Good, Gary. How you go?